If you're like me, and if you're like most people, the past month or so has been isolating, boring, and uncertain. Everything has been shut down. Possibly you can't go to work anymore unless you're deemed an essential worker. You can't work out anymore as the gyms are shut down. That's something I used to like to do, so you have to maybe work at home. You can't go to your favorite restaurants anymore unless it's takeout food. You probably can, if you're from a certain state, visit your friends and family anymore if they're from a different state. And if you do go there, then you have to be quarantined when you come back. People are becoming accustomed, if not at least comfortable, to this sudden change of lifestyle. However, this is something that we haven't been used to ever throughout the course of recorded history. I mean, we've had plagues, we've had the Spanish flu, we've had wars, but this is something where people are just basically not allowed to go out anymore, not allowed to work anymore, just your whole country shut down. This has put us where we're at, but this is not going to last forever. There will be a post-corona world, and you have to get prepared for it. There's certain things we have to be prepared for. I like to call them the 5 tips for the post-corona world. And the first tip is to have a schedule. Remember, before the corona world epidemic, however you want to call it, broke out, we had a schedule. We got up at a certain time, ate breakfast, dropped the kids off at school, went to work, had your scheduled breaks at work, be they coffee breaks, lunch breaks, afternoon breaks, etc. Work was over, picked up the kids, you went home, you ate dinner, you did the laundry, or you worked on reports or homework, went to bed, etc. Got up in the morning, did the next thing. This is something we should do now just to get ready for when things get back to normal. So here is a routine you can follow to get ready for the post-corona world. Here's like something you can do. Get up at 6 a.m. and at 7 a.m. go exercise. That can be jogging, lifting weights, taking a walk, playing with your kids, or what have you, just to get some exercise, get yourself moving, because you can't sit still all the time. Then possibly at 8 o'clock eat breakfast, have a healthy breakfast. At 9 o'clock do something to get ready for work or school because your work and school world is going to resume in some way, shape, or form. So this is a good time. Brush up on your job skills. If you have kids, have a set times they do their homework and do their school lessons. Also, part of the first tip is to schedule time with your friends and family, hopefully if they live close by. For example, let's say every Saturday you had dinner with your friends and family, and you can still do that. However, you won't be going down to a sit-down restaurant anymore. So what you can do right now is, while you currently can't go out to a sit-down restaurant or a coffee shop, you could tell them, hey, let's get some drive-through takeout food, and if the weather permits, if it's good, let's go to a local park if it's open. We can just eat dinner there and talk, catch up on things. So that would be the first thing you could do, the first tip to survive in a post-corona world. The second thing you could be doing right now to get prepared for the post-corona world is to brush up on your job skills. So, for example, if you're a teacher, I kind of mentioned about jobs and stuff. If you're a teacher, let's say you should study and refresh on your content so you're ready to go and get back to work. It might even be good to dress up, even for any job you have, just dress up. That way, when you're at home, dress up in the morning work. That way you're in the mindset that you're in a professional state of mind. So that way, also get to know, like if you're a teacher, get to know what your students are doing. If you have a business owner, get to know what your customers like, what they're doing during this time. Your employer, get to know what your employers are liking and doing during this time. So that way you're ready to get back into the swing of things when all comes back to normal. So that's my second tip for surviving in the post-corona world. The third tip to survive in a post-corona world would be readjusting for the schedule you had before the corona outbreak. So let's say that in April 2020 you plan to go on a trip somewhere. You bought the tickets, you saved the money, you got the hotel you wanted, all the places you want to see, and so forth. But that's been changed because of the corona shutdown. So now let's say it's June, the corona outbreak is lessened, you can go out and do stuff that you were doing before. I would say just go ahead and go forward with that trip you planned. I'm sure you probably will still get the deal you had at the hotel you booked for. So that would be the third tip. The third tip for surviving a post-corona world is to pick up where you left off. The fourth tip to get prepared for a post-corona world, and I include myself in this, and that would be to do the things now that we couldn't do before the outbreak. So that would be such things as chores or projects around your house that you didn't have time to do earlier because you will not have time again when things go back to normal. At your job, you're probably gonna have to redouble your efforts to get back to where things were because there's all this makeup work and all that stuff. So a lot of people, they're completely doing nothing now. I bet you in a couple months they're going to be doing complete 180. It's going to be completely busy in a couple months for everyone. All this makeup we have to do. So during this time, let's say you wanted to get your roof fixed. Now that you have the time, and possibly your insurance will pay for it too, so go ahead and get your roof fixed. Or let's say you like to cook, there's that certain dish or dessert that you wanted to make, go ahead and do that. You know, you can get the recipes now, you can get the ingredients and all that, you have time to do that. Or, you know, if you're like me, I like to read those books and watch those classic movies that you didn't have time to beforehand. And, you know, back to feel like, let's say there's a dish you're craving, but because of work and school and family, you didn't have time to make that lasagna dish or that whatever it was you wanted to cook. Go ahead and get the recipes, do that now. You might even pick up some cooking skills now and decide to open a restaurant or get a different job as a chef or cook when you get back. You never know what skills you can develop with a lot of downtime. It gives you ideas. Now would be a good time to plant a garden if you wanted to. That's something I want to do. So that's the fourth tip on how to survive in a post-corona world. Do things now that you were putting off before. So there's no reason to be a procrastinator anymore. The last tip, the fifth tip for surviving in a post-corona world, and this is probably the most important thing, is to expect the unexpected. I know that sounds like a cliche line from a movie, but it's true. If there's anything that we have learned from this corona outbreak, with everything being shut down, is that nothing in life is guaranteed. Nobody was expecting they could not go to work or go to school or go out to eat or even take a weekend trip somewhere. None of us were expecting to be on a low supply of things we needed, such as toilet paper, hand sanitizer, or what have you. This should teach us now to stock up ahead of time for disasters, to put money away, to have backup plans, to learn new skills, to get closer with our family and friends since we had more time being around them recently. Many parents suddenly became homeschool teachers in a matter of a few weeks after schools were shut down during this outbreak. So, like, let's say you're a teacher professor, you learn quickly how to do online lessons and how to teach from home. Even your students possibly have learned to become even more self-motivated, working and studying from home without having to be on a set schedule with set deadlines. Who knows? Maybe we will have an entire generation of kids who will be homeschooled now. Maybe some districts might think it's more cost-effective to have kids learn from home, and maybe some teachers, educators, professors, what have you, they might like the idea of teaching more without having to deal with those few students who might be troublemakers and who disrupt the class since they're working from home and all the kids are from home or at home now. And you know, right now, working from home, regardless of your job, you will be forced to learn technology more. Most employers might find out that many of their employees can work remotely without having to set foot in the office 40 hours a week. Yeah, you mean you might meet up once every 2 weeks just to catch up on things or do Skype interviews. That's a possibility. This corona epidemic, even though it's not good, it's created more, if not different methods in which we learn and work in society. Historically, every change in society, whether it was good or bad, always created more opportunities for people. It forced leaders and businesses to question the way they did things. So let's recap on the 5 tips to survive in a post-corona world. 1. Have a schedule. 2. Brush up on your skills. 3. Readjusting, picking up where you left off. 4. Do now what you put off earlier. And 5. Expect the unexpected. Hopefully, we will never experience anything like this again in history, but there are no guarantees, as we've learned. We may not always be able to predict or control what happens to us in our lives, but we do control how we prepare and respond for things when they happen.